we're going to talk today about the living soul. Hope everybody's ready. So I am a profile reader for the Living Soul guidance system, and basically, I'm able to coach not just by understanding the situations or the scenarios or whatever's going on with someone. I can actually pinpoint some pretty profound things using my guidance system by the living soul. And what I love about it is I'm able to not only just give basic information, but I can give some pretty profound, intricate, very specific guidance. I mean, because, by doing coaching, I'm telling people to the best of my ability, the correct way about doing something or going to do something or if they're planning on something. So currently I have a playlist that I do that are little soul readings, hypothetical ones. For certain celebrities, I feel moved by doing their profile reading and giving them some pretty profound information about their scenario, situations, or whatever. So I was moved today to do one for Sheryl Underwood because she's one of my favorite comedians, and I saw recently that she actually was doing this sort of thing back into the dating thing. And so I thought, well, this would be perfect because I can explain to you guys how I would actually coach Sheryl into a new dating life since she's been a widow and she's been single for a while now. How I would actually coach her. What would I tell her? How would I actually give her certain things about herself that she can use so that she can make decisions with certain gentlemen that's of her taste, how they would actually happen. How would this happen? So welcome everybody. I'm Coach Carla Nicole. You can also get your reading. So if you sit in here and listen how I would actually help her, hey Keith, if you would actually listen to how I would do her reading on how I would guide her and coach her for her dating, you will see how specific it is, how much it can help you, and when you're ready to get your reading, please by all means let me know, and then we will actually be able to work on your numbers. Okay, so let me explain just a little bit about the living soul reading and how I come up with what archetypes that Miss Sheryl Underwood had. How did I come up with these numbers? I used her birth date. So her birth date, the numbers on her birth date, gave me her moon archetype, her actual sun archetype, her earth archetype, and her living soul archetype. So I'm going to explain to you how I would guide her once, her and I talked and had a vibe and we're trying to come up with her strategy on how she's going to date. This is what I would use. I would use my living soul guidance system. Please, by all means, share this video because it's going to get really, really specific, okay? So, with her birth date, Sheryl is, her numbers are very similar to mine. Her birth date numbers are very similar to mine. So I was chuckling because personally, I love Sheryl Underwood. She's one of my favorite comedians. But what I love about this is I'm thinking that she can really get kind of beneficial if she got this reading for real. But we're just going to do a hypothetical because I love her as a fun thing to do. So Cheryl's moon archetype. So again, let me explain to you. She has a moon archetype. like I do. We watch her on the shows. We see how she's really spicy and bold and all of those things. Well, what her being a soul nurturer shows us is that, yeah, she is very sweet and all of that, but she has an emotional drive to be generous in her love affairs and in her relationships and even in her friendships. She's very deeply intuitive, so she knows a lot about intuition and how to really scope and understand things. And also, she's often a giver in her relationship. She's also a giver in her relationship. So because of the fact that Sheryl Underwood is a soul nurturer, she gives and gives and gives. Now, to the contrary, a lot of us that are soul nurturers, listen, we can't help it. We just love to give to people. We love to look out for people. We like to be that person to people. But sometimes, unfortunately, with Sheryl, her according to her moon archetype, she has to really get more boundaries around how much she gives. But this is just what I'm just giving you, just the light version. On my Patreon, I give a little more in-depth information. But here I'm just going to give you a real life version of what's going on with Sheryl and how she can actually sit down and choose a love affair and a lover that she really desires and wants. Okay? So here's the thing. She's deeply intuitive, like I said earlier. So a woman that's deeply intuitive usually has a tendency to be a woman that doesn't just want a relationship that's just kind of like bland. She often wants a relationship that feels good, that makes her feel empowered. She doesn't want to feel empty. She doesn't want to feel a whole bunch of madness and nonsense. She's a she doesn't let just anybody in her sacred space. She's very specific about who she allows to have access to her in her life. And this is because of her soul archetype, which is a moon archetype. Because when we're nurturers, yes, we love to be nurturing. However, we're specific about who we nurture with, if you know what I mean. We don't play. And if you pay attention to how she actually flows in her celebrity, you notice that she will be very powerful of a woman. She will definitely draw you in and make you think, wow, she is amazing. And she is. I mean, her numbers clearly shows that she really holds a maternal bonding with people. She's excellent with that. She also, listen, if she's nurturing you and you're not reciprocal with your energy with her, she's going to be like resistant and she's not going to feel the same. So you have to be mindful that if you're really coming into her life, that you're authentically who you are to you. Because it doesn't matter about what Cheryl's wanting in a relationship. If Sheryl is good, then she's good. But she doesn't want a man that isn't going to want to be empowered. So again, we have to pay attention. With this reading now, I'm showing you her soul archetype. She is a soul nurturer. That is her sun archetype. Her moon archetype. That's her first archetype in the living soul. So she is a soul nurturer in her sun energy. And this also shows and suggests that she is a woman that gives her maternal energy into anything she's involved with. Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but lately I've been talking about just because a woman can have children doesn't necessarily mean she's maternal. Maternal energy is very nurturing, but it's also very specific and bountiful when it comes to being energetically focused on how to progress you and guide you and protect you. And so all of those attributes, listen, Sheryl has it for real. No cap, she has it. So again, you want to pay attention to the fact that she has the nurturing side to her. She's very sweet. She's very kind and generous, but don't get it confused. She's very, very particular about who she allows in her space. That's for the first archetype. Again, Sheryl is a soul nurturer. That is her first archetype. archetype, which is she is a moon, her moon archetype, she's a soul nurturer. Now, let me talk about her being a soul nurturer in love. Now, here's the key. We oftentimes don't realize a lot about ourselves and how we can be transformed in our love affairs versus in our, friendships or parenting relationships or just familiar relationships. In love, it's a different kind of version of self. So in this particular reading I'm going to give you right here, I did the numbers on her and realized that she longs for emotional safety. She shares vulnerability, which is hugely important. I think in any love affair, you need to really actually sit down and be vulnerable with each other to get to know each other. And in that knowledge, you end up feeling this radiance. You end up feeling more empowered. You end up feeling more like conjoined because you actually have someone that's, able to see you, not just your avatar, but see your living soul. Because I say all the time, some people love from the outside in, but if you really want to get some real love, you want to love from the inside out. And this, my love, living soul will help you to do that. It will help you to see the person behind the avatar, behind the body, so that you can see, because that's what you're going to live with anyway. This body ages, gets kinks, and we get cellulite, we get all kinds of stuff, wrinkles and gray, all of that stuff. So you can fall in love with this, yes, but it's not going to remain the same forever. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to the fact that it would serve you better to love your lover from the inside out, not necessarily from the outside in. Okay, so in love, she craves and desires emotional safety. What that means is when she's involved with a man that she wants to get involved with, she's going to want to sit back and see if he's really someone she can entrust her emotions with. What does that mean? Well, if we're honest, sometimes when you're vulnerable and you start exposing who you are and you start sharing certain things about what's okay and what's not in your love affairs, what ends up happening is someone that you're involved with could either take it for granted or they could be like, oh, well, let me be mindful, right? So with Cheryl, she wants a love affair where that she can feel that her lover or the lover she's with is mindful of what her emotional needs are. Okay? Also, she's someone who wants her lover or in love, while she's in there, she wants her lover to see her depth. She doesn't want them just solely caught up in the fact that she's funny, that she's hilarious, and that she's very nurturing. She wants them to go deeper to really study her being. Because she's not one-dimensional. She's a very powerful woman. And I'm telling you now, a lot of times when you have a woman like this, a man will get caught up in how she speaks because she's articulate and everything. She's great. But what they don't realize is you can get easily caught up in that. But she's going to want you to deep dive and really start to see who she is. So it's very important that you sit back and realize, oh, okay, she's good. She knows what's going on, and that's fine. But no, she wants you to really deep dive into her soul and see it. So, again, this is her moon archetype. She's a soul nurturer. Please share this video because I'm telling you, this is just a small, little snack for you to realize that you can get this also. You can get all of this information just from your birthday. So Miss Cheryl, her moon archetype is a is not exactly the same as her moon, but she does have the same archetype, which is her moon, her nurture side to it. Now, check this out. The sun archetype is actually the outer identity of Cheryl in love. So this is how we can identify the difference between her moon archetype as being the soul nurturer, her inner emotional world, and then this is her outer identity in love. Okay? So her sun is showing that she's reflective. Okay? And she likes to reinforce the idea that okay, she is big about reflection, self-reflection, and she's also big about how she can make sure that she leads with care in her love affairs. Now, here's what's big, and I want you guys to understand this because I don't think a lot of times when we realize we say stuff and we get excited about things and everything's fine, but I want you guys to pay attention. When you are on this planet, there's certain things you must practice. It doesn't just come automatic. In order for you to want to sit back and be reflective, you have to take time to do it. It's not just going to happen just because you say you want to. No, you have to take practice. You have to take pride in it. You have to sit down and devote time for it because self-reflection is key for any type of growth in life. Okay? So, her son, like I said, she's a soul nurturer, and she reinforces the idea that she leads with care. Now, when I said all that, I meant to also impart with you that caring and being mindful takes practice. Especially if you may not have come from that background in your childhood or you didn't come from that in your family. This takes some type of strategy and practice to find yourself okay with caring about someone else without holding over their head a pink slip. Like, you remember when I did this for you? Well, it's your turn. You get to do something for me. That's not how this works. When you're caring, and she is a soul nurturer in her sun archetype, you have to sit down and understand that when you're caring, you're doing it from a selfless space. You're not doing it to try to get something back from it. You're just doing it. And that's how Sheryl Underwood is. She's big about just gifting and doing. But this is really powerful because she leads with this in her relationship. See, now check this out. In the public eye, we often see her sharp and wit, right? She looks sharp and she looks ready and she's always so spicy and she can go in and stuff. And she's bold. She has a boldness side to her. She speaks her mind. And that's not easy to come by. As a woman, I can be honest. When I first started, developing as my young woman into my adult self, it was very difficult for me to call myself open to say certain things. I would be shy or I'd be afraid to mention certain things. And it's like your throat chakra here, it's not ready to open up. So you're afraid to say or have a voice. However, that's not Cheryl's problem. She don't have any problem saying what she wants to say. She's bold, she's hilarious, she's funny, and she does it so well that she's made a living off of her voice. And now, in the public eye, we see it, but beneath her, check this out, she's a woman who values connection, stability, and emotional anchoring. So she's just not a woman that just loves to, be bold. Yes, she does, but she likes that emotional anchoring, which means it's powerful that she's big about standing in her soul okayness, because it's not easy to do. Because I tell you, when you first develop learning how to use your voice, it's not easy to maintain or do for real. So again, you can get this reading. I'm doing a reading on Sheryl Underwood off of her numbers. She is a soul nurturer on her moon archetype. She is a soul nurturer for her sun archetype. to share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Listen, I'm doing my thing. So make sure you share this video, okay? Like and comment. Let me know how you think. Let me know what you think. And see if this really doesn't match. Does this match to what you see Sheryl on TV? And she's famous, so she's a celebrity. So, we're just going hypothetical. But can you see Cheryl's vivaciousness or boldness? I mean, she's dynamic woman. But what's so funny is I saw her speaking to another show, and I thought, oh, she's going back in the dating scene. Well, let me see what I can do with this. I think this would be great for me to just pull up her numbers and have some fun with it. Because I love doing these I would coach celebrities because I feel like we can get so much information off of someone else, especially celebrities. We see them all the time. So this will be so much fun to do Cheryl's because she's already funny, as you know. So let's get on with the next archetype. The next archetype is her earth archetype. That's the third archetype in the living soul. And now, like I said, the living soul is a numerology living soul guidance system, and it's going to help us to make decisions, not just throwing darts in the air and hoping to God we hit the bullseye and don't know where the target is. This is going to give you specific, I'm talking about so accurate of information based upon your date of birth that really challenges us to not just get caught up in hoping and wishing for things. It makes us live with more intention. So the living soul, if you want a reading, please don't hesitate. We can go live here on YouTube and we can have at it. So please sit in here and make sure to say, hey, I would love to have one, and I'll reach out to you. Okay, so the third archetype, Sheryl Underwood, is a soul protector. Now, I know this archetype oh so well because I'm a soul protector. And when I love people or I care about people or I am just really concerned about people, I will become very protective. And her and I share in this archetype. We shared in the other ones too. I just didn't mention these. But yeah. So she is a soul protector. Okay? She doesn't let anyone just share her sacred space. So as you know, her sacred space is her, her intimacy, her sexual energy. She's very particular about sharing that with just anyone. So she's particular, and this is the reason because she is a soul protector, so she protects herself. Now, on previous shows, I did see that she had some sexual trauma, I think, from years ago, but that still is very scarring and very, it's the most damaging thing that can happen to anyone. It doesn't have to just be a woman. So I make sure to say it can happen to anyone. It can happen to a child. It can happen to a man. Rape is awful. So with that said, I think her protection in this area is even more so. I think it's more amplified because of the fact that she's already been a victim of sexual abuse. So we want to be honest. I think that that's a good thing, but then at the same time, she may be closed or look like she's closing off to that because of the fact that she has been through some turmoil in that situation. involve herself with someone, she's going to give 110%. So, here's the thing. A man that's interested in Cheryl can't be untrustworthy because she is big about trust. And she says, here's what it is, and I'm going to be honest. When you have male impartation, or you have a man in your life as a child, you can't just say just any old thing and walk away. Because having a father or having a male in your life early on, you realize that your word is your bond. That applies here to Cheryl. She doesn't play when she's talking about being in a love affair with someone because she's big about her soul being protected and her soul being elevated in the love life she's in. So, with that said, you can't just be a man in here just playing games and not really serious. She's going to be like, don't waste my time. And it won't take her long either. She'll see right through it. So, again, I'm helping gentlemen. I see y'all are coming in droves trying to get with Cheryl, but you better pay attention to this because she's not someone to play with. She'll just sever the tie and keep on moving. And you'll be confused trying to figure out what happened. Well, you weren't honest, you weren't open, you weren't trustworthy. She wasn't able to feel vulnerable. She likes emotional anchoring. All of these things that she wants in her relationship, and you can't give it or provide it, she's gone. And she's not even going to think twice about it. You see what I'm saying? So you got to pay attention to what I'm telling you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share this video and comment. Let me know what you think. She is a soul protector for her earth archetype. Soul protector, yes. I love it. All right, and last but not least, Miss Cheryl is in her soul archetype, living soul archetype. She is a soul conservator. Oh boy. Conservator, it helps us to understand that in our love affairs that we're trying to develop or that we're interested in getting into with someone, we want to make sure that we know ourselves best first. So I wanted to make sure to tell you this. It is important that you know more about you than anybody else. Because people can take their assumptions of you and plant that seed in you, and the next thing you know, it becomes you. Because you're listening to someone else's assumption or someone else's so-called opinion. And you're going to find yourself really frustrated because you're going to be like, well, that's not even me. Well, you're right. But you've now evolved into that because of what someone told you you were. So here's what's powerful. She's a soul conservator, which means she is a woman. She wants tradition. She's not for all this modern stuff. Not going to happen with Miss Cheryl. I'm just telling you now. She wants conservative. She wants to be conservative in her love affair. So what that means is she is about traditional intimacy. She wants to make sure that she's not feeling out of place in her affairs. It's important that we sit down and understand that being a soul conservator means that she really loves soulful love, and she definitely desires a love that is going to help her to see the truth in what each other are. This is hard for me. I'm just going to be honest. I think one of the trials that Cheryl is going to find while she's out here in this dating scene is her being a soul conservator means she's going to want to conserve old ways of thinking. She's going to want to stay kind of rooted in her way of how she wants to relate. That's fine and everything, but I think she may have to make some around it. But the problem is, what's tough about this is that with Cheryl, she's gonna be like, okay, you have someone that you were used to all those years, you were married, and then you passed on. Problem is that when she comes out here into the new dating world, she's going to see that those old ways of thinking in relationships aren't the same. She's going to have to start doing some real assessment of, just how men are wired now. There's a lot more conversation about um, just kind of like we're not together all the time. And I think Cheryl is so traditional. She's going to want something solid. She's going to want something that's going to be, what she can get used to. She likes routine. So in the routine of the love affair, it's going to be a challenge for her because some men may want to have, maybe out of state, maybe will want to come around every now and then, but may not want to be under the same roof. May not even be open to marriage. There's a lot of things right now that I'm not sure that Michelle even knows is going on out here. But I would say this: if she is looking for traditional, the church is the only way to find it. There are men that are very traditional, but they don't really go to church, and so this is where a lot of women struggle. They want the church-like relationships, they want the old school relationships, and they want to go to church to find them. And they get there and they see it's all women in the pews. Well, there are all women in the pews because men don't usually, single men don't go to church to find their woman of choice that they want to be with. They don't go there. So the problem with this type of archetype, especially in her living soul, this means her whole living soul encompasses and embodies the conservator side of herself. The challenge of this is she is going to hold on to wanting traditional love. But she is going to think, well, maybe I'll just find him through the traditional way. I'll just go and, go to church or go to the restaurants on Sundays. Or, that's not going to work. She's going to have to change her strategy completely. And mind you, she is a celebrity. So I would advise her, first off, this is what I would coach her to. Now that we've changed all the archetypes, once again, I'll go through them one more time. She is her moon archetype, she's a soul nurturer. Her sun archetype, she's a soul nurturer again. And then her earth archetype, she's a soul protector. And last but not least, she is a soul conservator. Hey, welcome from France. So glad you're here. So, here's what I would tell Cheryl. And I would be really open and honest with her about what her needs are. Because I'm able to see now that she's a soul conservator as her actual living soul archetype. That's huge for me to be able to coach her. And I would tell Cheryl, just like anybody that will be a soul conservator that comes and gets a reading, I would be very honest with her and I would tell her to start studying opposing views. Open yourself up to thinking different. Not to change, but just to understand. Because most likely, by the odds, and I'm going based upon odds, I'm not going based upon how I feel or what I think. I'm going based upon the odds. With you desiring to be in a traditional relationship in 2025, I'm here to advise you, and I would advise anybody that's a conservator or living soul of a conservator. I would tell her, I need you to study about open relationships. I need you to study about monogamous relationships. I need you to study like on some intense vibes. The reason I would advise and coach you to study is because of this. When we get so consumed with the way we see things or what we know about based upon our past or where we come from, we oftentimes sit back and think, oh, this is what I want. This is what I want. But I would want her to advance her mind. First of all, I would tell her, at this point, what is it she definitely desires in a relationship? Does she really want someone to be in her life full time? Because there's a difference between having a lover every now and then versus having a 24/7, if you know what I mean. So if you're having a 24/7 man, that's a huge responsibility, and especially if you're a celebrity. And that comes with a lot of challenges because you're not there most of the time. So, with that said, I would tell her I think you want to be really mindful of paying attention to that. You are a soul nurturer, so it would serve you well to be with a man that isn't necessarily emotional, but a man that can balance you out. A man that has some type of charisma, maybe get like a soul lover, to where he can actually tap into you desiring that soul nurturing, but also he would take you to higher heights in your sensuality and your sexuality. It would be so dynamic for you. And you would find out, oh my goodness, yes, I can actually find and mold and shape and build a newfound love affair with someone that has a powerful, dynamic relationship. But because you're a little traditional, like I said, I would strongly suggest that we learn how to tap into learning about our outside thoughts. Because if I'm honest, I am someone that's very traditional. I was raised with dual family and all that. But I had to do some studying. But I had to do some studying for coaching, but I also had to do some studying for myself. Not everybody is wired the same way as me. And one thing that soul conservators struggle with is that we have a hard time seeing that everybody doesn't love the same as we do. Here's the other part that we struggle with. Not only do they not love the same as us, but they also do not love, check this out, at the same time, in the same timing. So sometimes we have to give somebody some space. Throw your love affair on cruise control. There's no sense in trying to rush someone else to be where you are just because you are elevated to that new heightened and feeling and admiration and allure for someone doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have that because of how good they are, how fine they are, how sexy they are, or whatever. You have to sit down and really start paying attention because it's not easy. Our love affairs take a lot. Now, here's what's also interesting. If you want a soul lover to really um, embody what you need, now here's what's deep. All of our love affairs we can have that can create a newness, it can create a newfound side of ourselves. But we don't actually realize it because we spend a lot of time not paying attention to our own soul, what we need and what we desire. But now I'm helping others to sit down and take a look at their own numbers. These numbers give a lot of information. Not only that, they give us accuracy. I provide forecasts for the week. I give all kinds of things to help people not to be feeling away just because and doing life in a hit or miss. You have to be consistent. You have to be there. Let's take a look at what let's take a look at what Latin says now. Let's see what she says here. Um, it is so cool. Have you pulled out the soul conservator and her vibes? Oh, and numbers. Emulating, yep, extremes in the conservator. Yes, because Latin, she's I love her dearly. I think she's a beautiful woman, but she's got to come down from those extremes. Because when you're pulling from a dynamic of wanting something so bad, you'll start to feel like, oh my God, I wanted something this bad, and that's true. But however,
You have to pump the brakes. You have to throw yourself on cruise control and pay attention to how, okay, let me reduce down my urge to want to have everything right now, and let me allow it to develop and evolve into the best version of what we can become without me trying to put all this energy in it and manipulate and all that. So I'm just saying, with Sheryl, I would sit her down and say, hey, look, I know you love tradition, and I'm not taking you away from that. But what I am going to do is I want you to get exposed to other outside ways of relating. Not because I'm trying to convert you into anything, because I won't be the one to do that. I'm not someone that's going to campaign any way to which I love and how I do it as doing it my way, because everyone's different. We're all individuals. But what I would encourage her to do is open your eyes up to seeing what else is out here. How else can we relate? How else can we become a unified duo and make a dynamic entrance and do all these things in power? But we do have to sit down and look at, okay, let me come up with a plan on loving different. Since Sheryl wants to come back into the dating scene, this is what I would encourage her to do. Again, we would do more intense, in-depth information on her reading. I just gave a really brief, it was surface based. I didn't give a lot. I'll give more on my Patreon later on, probably this week. But I wanted to just give something to where you all could see the power of actually getting your living soul reading done and learning some things about it, and then learning about you. I use this on my clients all the time. I had one client call me this week all over the place about this and that and the third. I was like, okay, what's going on? And he was all in a shambles. Come to find out, this is not the week for what he was trying to do. So I had to tell him, well, according to the forecast, this isn't a good idea. You shouldn't be doing any of what you're trying to do this week. I had him pump his brakes. And so I haven't talked to him yet, but hopefully if he listened and followed through with the Living Soul guide, then hopefully he'll make decisions according to what I'm telling him, because I'm not going to steer him wrong. I'm just telling him based off of the numbers, this is not a week to do all that you're trying to do. And I told him, I said, pump your brakes. It's not good. So anyway, I'm glad you guys showed up, and thank you for being here. Don't forget to share this video and like, and don't forget, I'm going to come back on pretty soon. I haven't done a I Would Coach um, video in a while, so I thought, you know what, after I saw Sheryl, it kind of moved me, because I thought she would be a great person to do a living soul reading on, because I could tell that she had that warmth to her. She has that nurturing side to her. She's funny as all get out. She's bold, but she also has compassion. You can tell anybody around her, she just looks like she would be someone that you would just love to hang out with, just out of her mere beauty, internal beauty. And again, I keep saying, if you want to find love, that's fine, but you got to first start with you. It doesn't make any sense to try to go out here and meet somebody and get to know them and you don't know anything about yourself. That doesn't add up. Okay? So make sure to share this video. It's your coach, Carla Nicole. I'm out of here, guys. Bye-bye.